Okay, the presidential election of 1932 is very important in our story as we're learning about the Great Depression. President Hoover was president when the Depression started. Hoover believed that the Depression was almost over. He kept trying to convince the American citizens just to hang in there, that the bad times would be over soon and the good times of like the 1920s would return. Now, this is going to be a tough sales pitch to the American people, especially to those people that could not find a job and those people that were starving to death and that were living in the Hoovervilles, the pictures that we've seen of the shacks and things that people were living in. Trying to convince these folks that things are going to be better is very difficult. Now, Hoover also believed that the federal government should not get involved in trying to help people find jobs and to make things better. He felt like this is the responsibility of the individual person to get themselves out of trouble, and the federal government should not be involved in it. Now, this is going to make him a very unpopular president during this time. A man by the name of Franklin D. Roosevelt comes on the scene politically, and he promises American people a new deal. He says, look, if you elect me as president, I promise you things are going to become better. Well, Hoover obviously is not going to be very popular, so he does not win re-election. Roosevelt does, because he's promising the Americans a new deal. He's going to make things better for them. Now, when Roosevelt is elected president, the first 100 days in office is called Roosevelt's 100 days. In the first 100 days as president, Roosevelt, along with the help of Congress, they start new programs to help thousands of people that were unemployed get new jobs. One of the first things that he did is we learned about the Great Depression and how people put their money into the banks hoping that the money would still be there, only for the stock market crash to happen. And they went to the bank. Remember, I told you the story about my great-grandfather, how he went to the bank and wanted his money out, to take his money out, and the bank says, we don't have it because we loaned it out to a bunch of people. Well, Roosevelt said in his first 100 days, he said, the first thing I want to do is shut down all banks. He declared what's called a national bank holiday. And during this time, all the banks are closed, and he sends in government agents into the banks to look through all of their books. He wants to make sure that all the money is taken care of. Nobody can put money in. No one can take money out. He wants to make sure that the banks are going to be safe for people to put their money into. He also creates what's called the Fdic. Now that means if you put your money into the bank and the bank fails, the government will refund you or insure your money, provide you money back up to $100,000. We still kind of have that today. If you go to a bank and you see the symbol Fdic on the front of the bank, that means if something happens to this bank, you're guaranteed up to $100,000 that you'll get your money back. Okay? And so this is, I put First Bird Bank, and it's closed. Okay? And that's during the first 100 days of Roosevelt's administration. Now, in Tennessee, we have a senator by the name of George Norris. Norris goes to Washington and meets with President Roosevelt and tells President Roosevelt about East Tennessee. He says, we have lots of nice rivers here. And he comes up with a plan. He says, what we need to do is build dams and stop up rivers here in East Tennessee. That way we can provide electricity for the southeast. Well, Roosevelt really likes this because what this is going to do is provide great jobs for many unemployed East Tennesseans. Also, Norris said that he wanted the federal government to help develop East Tennessee region, and it's really going to do a great job. Now, the sad part about this is that many people were forced to leave their homes, and there's a story about a local lady here in Loudoun County who lived next to the river, had a big farm that her family had always owned, and the government made her leave. She didn't want to leave, and they kept telling her, we're going to flood this area, you have to leave. And long story short, what ends up happening is they begin to flood her farm, and they have to go in and rescue her because she didn't want to leave. Now, there are many stories similar to that, but it provides good paying jobs. Good paying jobs come to Tennessee. So these people, although yes, we lost our farms, more people though that are unemployed are now going to have good jobs. Now, the Civilian Conservation Corps, or the CCC, is a new program that's also started during Roosevelt's 100 days. And what it does, it puts single young men to work, and they make $35 a week. Now, that's pretty good money in those days. These guys had to prove that they were single, that they were unemployed, and that they desperately needed a job and that their family couldn't help them. And they would be paid $35 a week, and they built national parks and public buildings. The CCC, there were 45 CCC camps in Tennessee. Now, one book says that these guys made $35 a week. They only kept $5 themselves, and they would send the 25 home to help their family out, or they would put that $25 a week in a bank account in savings. And when they finished working for the CCC, they got their money back. Now that's a pretty good plan. I've written up here Cades Cove CCC flowers. If you go to Cades Cove during the springtime, there's an area there where the flowers are planted. I think they're tulips. They're planted in the initial CCC. Well, the Civilian Conservation Corps, these guys helped develop Cades Cove the way it is now. They built the road through there and cleaned up some of the cabins and made it like it is today. And you can see where they planted those flowers. Okay. The next big accomplishment by Roosevelt was starting the Great Smoky Mountain National Park. Now, the citizens of Tennessee and North Carolina wanted to create a national park because they believed this would help bring in money for their states. So the residents of Tennessee and North Carolina raised $1 million. And then the government of North Carolina and the government of Tennessee each pitched in $2 million each. Okay, so that's up to $4 million. John D. Rockefeller Jr., now remember we talked about him in a previous lesson and how the Rockefeller family is extremely rich, gives $5 million to help buy this land that's Cades Cove, and that makes up the Great Smoky Mountain National Park today. They raised all this money, and they now purchase this great mass of land that are the Great Smoky Mountains today, and they turned it into a national park. On September the 2nd, 1940, the Great Smoky Mountain National Park is dedicated. Now, a lot of people were kind of upset about this, but Franklin D. Roosevelt comes to this celebration. It is up at Clingman's Dome, and they open it up and announce that this land is now the Great Smoky Mountain National Park. And today, it's one of the most visited areas in the United States, and it does bring in lots of money for Tennessee and North Carolina. If you would like more information about this, I would like for you to go to nps.gov/GRSM. That's nationalparkservice.gov/GRSM. If you would like to learn more about TVA, it's tva.gov. Thank you.